During the 2024-2025 financial year, the Kenya Revenue Authority collected 73.2 billion shillings through the mandatory housing levy. These funds represent a massive transfer of capital from everyday taxpayers, processed right here at Times Tower. Yet the output for that same period reveals a stark contrast. In the Mukuru Met site, Homa Bay, Kakamega, and Nakuru, the program delivered a combined total of only 1,630 completed units. A gap this wide, 73 billion shillings in versus fewer than 2,000 homes out, creates an immediate vacuum for speculation. Without a clear explanation for that missing momentum, the logical assumption for many is systemic theft. However, the Kenyan Constitution alters the dynamic of this relationship. It effectively converts the taxpayer into the project's primary venture capitalist, granting you a specific legal standing in the program's success. Under Articles 228 and 229, every citizen possesses the legal authority to inspect the financial books of any project funded by the public. This isn't a passive right. It is a mandate to verify exactly how these billions are being allocated. To find the truth, we have to look past the headlines and examine the actual audit reports. By reading the data scientifically, we can move from rumor to a factual understanding of the project's financial health. The first major flag appears in the Controller of Budgets report. She identifies a low 26% absorption rate for the affordable housing subprogram, indicating a severe disconnect in the project's pipeline. Think of absorption as the speed at which the government can actually spend the cash it has collected. Currently, the state is squeezing 73 billion shillings into a narrow, restricted pipe of active construction. This low absorption suggests the funds are stalled in a bureaucratic holding pattern. While the money hasn't exited the system, the state's capacity to build is failing to keep pace with its capacity to tax. The Auditor-General adds another layer of concern. In her review of funds sent to the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, she issued a qualified opinion on the financial statements. In accounting terms, a qualified opinion means the auditors lacked the documentation necessary to verify specific expenditures. It signals a failure in record-keeping, a warning that the paperwork doesn't match the money trail. The audit trail indicates that the program is being strangled by poor documentation and administrative inertia. These reports suggest the failure is less about a single massive heist and more about a system that cannot manage its own scale. This administrative lag explains why roughly 46 billion shillings of levy funds are currently sitting in short-term government Treasury Bills rather than being spent on construction sites. This maneuver is permitted under Section 12 of the Affordable Housing Act. It grants the board the authority to invest any income that isn't immediately required for housing projects. The government's defense is purely financial. They argue that parking idle cash in T-bills generates billions in extra returns, protecting the fund's value from being eroded by inflation while construction waits. But there is a physical cost to this financial logic. While the accounts grow, actual construction blocks across the country sit in various stages of completion, with progress slowed by the very delays that made the investment possible. Despite these delays, physical delivery is happening. Completed projects like these, with finished units and communal spaces, prove that the program is capable of reaching the finish line for some citizens. Analytical, investing in T-bills is a legally sound way to manage a surplus, but it deceptively prioritizes financial returns over the urgent mission of housing the population. To hold this program accountable, Kenyans should monitor one specific metric: the ongoing gap between the total billions collected by the KRA and the physical number of units actually completed. We must track the interest generated by Treasury Bills. The government promises these returns will be injected back into the housing ecosystem. Verifying this return flow ensures the levy expands the housing supply, rather than sitting as a secondary government revenue source. You can verify this data yourself. The latest Auditor-General and Controller of Budget reports are public documents available through the Parliamentary Library online. If those audits show undocumented spending or stalled projects in your county, you have the right to demand answers directly from your Member of Parliament. As the ultimate funders of this project, citizens possess the standing to act as the program's final layer of oversight. The levy belongs to you, and so does the right to see it managed correctly. In our finale, Episode 10, we will look at the full 5-year plan to see if the state can bridge this gap between its financial collections and its construction targets.